This is episode 2 of the ToyTubers. I still don't have a good name for it, but I'm calling it the ToyTubers Podcast
That'll
for
work.
now, because it's it's a podcast about toy reviewers who are on people who run YouTube channels, like myself, like my guest today, Wade from Unparalleled Universe.
Hello.
And so, welcome, man. This is just a chat about being a YouTuber, dude. So, how you been?
Pretty good, man. Looking forward to talking with you. You laid out the topics and pretty interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah, so we'll let I have a list of questions and we'll let the conversation go where it will. But start with the start, right? So, how did you get going on YouTube back when you first started? Like, why, how, when?
Well, I mean, I've always obviously, like just like you and everyone else, I've always liked toys, and I've always gone to conventions and things like that, and I'd see other guys doing videos and whatever, and something happened in my personal life where I was kind of like home with nothing. So my wife was kind of like, why don't you make some videos like of your toys? Don't people do stuff like that? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. She's like, you have a camera. I had a nice camera for other purposes, and I just got into it like that, and then I just never stopped. Like, every year I try to get like progressively more and more and more into it, and at this point, like pretty deep into it.
Yeah. I mean, you just hit 50,000 this past year, right?
Yeah.
Congrats on that. That's awesome.
Thank you. Hell yeah, thank you.
And so, initially, what kind of videos were you making? Was it toy reviews straight through from the beginning?
Yeah, right from my first review, I think was the Marvel Legends Sentry, the one from I don't even remember what wave that was, but the second one I reviewed was the Pizza Spider-Man body, or the Pizza Spider-Man, like the original release. So yeah. And from there, just like kind of early on, I was like, oh, if I'm gonna do this, maybe I got to start getting things earlier. And I tried to like, hit eBay and get things early and this and that, but that fell off quick. There's little value in that.
How has it changed for you over the years?
I mean, the whole game is different. That's for sure. Like back then, it felt like I know there was a lot of people already doing it and stuff, but it doesn't feel like today. Like I don't want to say crowded in a bad way, but there's like a lot of people doing it. Back then, I felt like I know this wasn't the case, but I felt like I was the only one doing it and nobody was watching. So yeah, it felt a lot more, I don't know, like empty back then. Nowadays, it's like a lot of people doing it, but a lot of good ones though. And it's cool because like the more people do it, the more creative things get. Everybody has like different approaches, and it's kind of cool to see how people's like personalities and lives kind of like affect their videos. So it's different in that way. I guess you could say it's evolved. And also just for me personally, back then, I used to be one of those guys that would go to shows and see interactions with like some of the existing YouTubers and toy companies and this and that. And I remember being like, damn, I hope I could be like that one day. Or like, damn, I hope I could get free samples one day and all that kind of cool shit. And then like very quickly I did. And then very quickly I didn't care about it, So I don't know. Right now I kind of feel like my position is way different than it was back then. Back then, I put value in things that now I realize don't really matter. And now I'm just kind of like doing it happy, doing my own thing. I appreciate my following. I appreciate the awesome people that I've met, so that kind of stuff it's different, but it's awesome.
Yeah. The community aspect.
For sure.
How about like your gear, your editing, your process, like any kind of peeks behind the scenes, like for what kinds of, I don't know, like process you have?
Well, as far as like my equipment goes, I do have a pretty nice camera. I'll grab it. I use the Fujifilm. Always get it mixed up. X-T3. So this is it right here. And I love this camera. When I first got it, like jumping into Fuji was like, like foreign territory. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I spent a lot of time with this and I feel like I mastered it. So now I have like a connection with it. Don't ever want to leave Fuji as my main camera. So yeah, that's what I use. It's definitely overkill for toy reviews. But one one thing is like I've always taken a lot of pride in making sure my shit looks quality all the time. Like that's always my main focus. So that's why I'm always like, invest in a good camera, invest in a good microphone, invest in good lights. That's the other thing too. People often ask me about my lighting. They like it and things like that. But I have no good answers for lighting because it's always just like getting in there and trying different things. And I'm always buying new lights and trying new lights and trying different setups and all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of different stuff. So um like as far as like behind the scenes kind of thing, it's hard to really give any good insight as to exactly what I have going on because it's kind of chaotic, and it's also like constantly evolving and changing. And I'm
Yeah.
always just buying new shit, changing the backgrounds. People always get mad at me. You know Plasti, right? Plasti Adicto?
Yep.
He's always yelling at me and shit. Like, just make videos. Stop worrying about your background. Because I'm always like, what do you think of this purple? What do you think of this shade of purple? And he's like, dude, just record videos. No one gives a shit. I'm all, you see this speck of dust on my table when I was doing.
I am always impressed with the lack of dust on your glass surface or whatever your reflective surface is, because that's like a constant battle with me as somebody who uses a glass surface. But
Oh
it's
man,
impressive.
it makes reviews take forever because I'm in here with glass clean. I'm like, okay, here's the box. I take the box off. I'm hitting the whole thing with glass cleaner. I'm hitting
Oh
the
my
whole
God.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely overkill, and I realize that. But it's one of those things where I can't do it any other way. It is what it.
Yeah. But like, it's noticeable. Like, like I just said, like I'm always impressed with how clean, not just like dust free, but like how clean your shots always are, how well lit. Like there is a noticeable there's an enjoyment factor to watching something that's super sharp, super well lit, that's very consistent, like your videos. And I've always strived to try to, emulate some of that in my own videos as well from what I've seen you doing.
I appreciate it, and I'm glad that it's noticed. Because I put so much time and into making sure it's clean. It's like it's very important to me because like when I watch other YouTubers, and like I hope no one else is like this because if everyone was like this, none of us would have any subscribers. Because I see like little things on people's backgrounds, I turn the review off. I don't care. I'm like, oh, there's like the background isn't consistent. There's a crease in the paper that they're using. Off. Like I don't know.
Don't watch my latest one then.
Oh, you got like dust and
No, I had to switch. You know how I usually have that diamond surface in the
Yeah.
back, like this background right here, right? Um, I had to switch because I was reviewing a dark gray. I was just reviewing a figure that disappeared into the gray
Oh wow.
background, and I had to switch it, so I used a green paper, and you can see like little creases and stuff in the thing.
I'm gonna go leave some mean comments about it.
Yeah.
I've always loved your diamond background. You told me a long time ago it was like a crate from Home Depot or something.
Yeah. It's like if you've ever seen those yard wagons with the inflatable tires for just like
Oh,
they have
okay.
like cage sides and then inflatable tires just for hauling wood around or whatever.
Yeah,
It's the bed liner for one of those.
that's genius because it looks amazing. Like I love the way your background looks, and one thing I liked about it quite a bit, it looks clean, obviously, and I had no idea what it was until you told me. Like I was like,
Yeah.
what is that? That's so
Yeah.
cool and different. Like, did he make that or what the hell?
It's I'm sort of outgrowing it though. Like
Hmm.
one of the things I don't ever do is 6 scale. I collect a lot of 6 scale, but I don't review it because the background is just not big enough to really do a good review. Like I've done them, but it feels so crowded and it's just a pain. But I think one day if I have time, I want to just take a big sheet of the foam core that people do dios out of
Oh,
and
okay.
just carve it out myself, just 4 times the size, paint it black, and just have that in the background at some point. But
Oh,
that's a project for.
and you want to make it like your current background, like the
Yeah,
diamond?
yeah, just
Oh,
reproduce the same pattern on it.
oh yeah, that'd be
Just to
dope.
keep, yeah. But it'll be just static. It'll be there all the time and it'll just be huge. So I'll be able to just not have to worry about that. How about editing? How about your process? Like, you said you'll stop and clean things. And do you do things in batches? Do you, what's your process like a little bit? Your
No,
workflow, I
usually,
guess.
usually, I just do one review at a time. If I try to do things in batches, I tend to never come back to one of them. You
Right.
know, like I have several reviews like that I've recorded the full thing, but I was doing those reviews as I was doing another one. I finished the other one and just never went back to the second place one. But as far as my editing goes, I edit in Final Cut, which is okay for now, but I think I might want to move from Final Cut because it's kind of limited. I'd like to get a little bit more complex with the transitions and things like that. Right now, my transitions are all pretty basic and stuff. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I just use Final Cut. Nothing crazy when it comes to editing. Like, I usually one thing that does kind of suck for me because my camera it records in big file sizes, and I always try to have the highest quality. Like I have to constantly like erase things and move things, and export like half a review so that I could delete the big
Yep.
files and all that. That's time consuming for sure.
That was happening to me before I got my new computer.
Hmm.
About a year ago, actually. It was so frustrating, and it was an old computer, so it was really slow, and just
Um,
everything took time, and I kept having to like move stuff and delete it, and yeah. Were you experienced with video editing and stuff like that at all prior to doing YouTube and stuff, or did you
nah,
learn? Is this a product of like being a YouTuber that you learned these things?
yeah, the little bit of editing that I know and do is just from YouTube stuff. I don't think I did any editing before. Yeah. No, it's all from YouTube. Yeah, but like as it is right now, mine's not too complex. Like it's two scenes. You drag a little thing there, and move it around as you need to, and you're good to go. I'd like to get a little bit more complex with it, but it's just as it is right now. My focus is taking great footage because sometimes like the those type of things could just be kind of like gimmicky, which I appreciate them and kind of want to do them, but it's not focused. My focus is
Yeah,
showing the figures.
yeah, and it's time consuming. Every
Yeah.
time you add, if you're gonna add like a transition, you're going to want to have maybe that same transition throughout, or you're going to want to have transitions throughout the
Hmm.
entire video. And like adding one transition is not much, but then once you add it up through the whole thing, it adds up to like time. So,
Yeah, for sure. And then sometimes like certain transitions don't work the same on two different clips. Like depending on the time of this clip versus this clip, if you put the transition in, it only puts it in as a certain size. So you're like
right.
trying to like edit it so it'll actually work and not cut off words.
Yep.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's all a
Here's,
process.
here's a question. Do you ever do scripted videos?
No, I've tried and it just didn't work for me. Like I tried to, I think for a review, like I kind of was thinking, all right, this will be kind of easy because I could write the script at work and I like I won't be sitting there trying to figure out what to say because we
Mm-hmm.
review a lot of figures that are similar to each other. Sometimes you have to come up with some bullshit just to kind of not bullshit, but like some kind of just words to fill in the space. Like
Yeah.
you review a million Mythic Legions figures. The bodies are kind of similar. So
Yeah.
like by the
I'm
hundredth,
very repetitive. Yeah.
yeah, you got to come up with some bullshit. So like
Right.
instead of me trying to come up with some bullshit while I'm sitting there starting a review, I try to write something out, and it just I didn't like it. Like it was just I don't know. I couldn't deliver it well, and I just I
That
wasn't feeling it. I was like I just doubled my workload. So
I know. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I've done them, and I'm trying to like get better at them, but the problem is you have to really commit to doing them regularly to get decent at delivering those words without it sounding like you're reading
yeah,
from a paper, right?
yeah.
Like if you ever go back and watch my review, I've done it. I think it's just this one review that I did it scripted. So what I did was I recorded all the footage separately, and I read my script separately. Like there were two separate
Oh, okay.
things, right?
Yeah.
And that was mostly because it was a statue. It was the Conan statue from Mezco, and like yeah. If you go back and watch that one, like or at least when I watch it, it definitely sounds super fakey and just like scripted and stuff. But I tried it again recently not on a review, but on a content video where I'm talking to the camera and I'm talking about a topic,
Oh, okay.
and it went pretty well. In that time, I didn't just read from the script. I hit record, I kind of peruse the script, and then I just like from memory just repeat what the first couple sentences said, right?
Hmm.
And then just do it a couple times, a couple takes, and then like keep going from there. And that worked out a little bit better, but yeah, scripting is very interesting. And but the thing is, it's like you got to kind of commit. Like now it's like since it's been a couple weeks since I did a scripted thing, like it's like starting over again next time.
Yeah, yeah. Another thing that's kind of kept me away from scripting stuff is like a lot of people often say that they like my enthusiasm and like all that kind of stuff. And like if you're reading off a script, like I don't know, man, like it'd be hard to fake the enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Like because I sit down at the desk and I really am screaming and but like I don't think I could do that with the script.
How about life balance? Have you struggled with that? Have you, like just between like finding the time to do reviews and like in the midst of having a career and a family and all that stuff?
Yeah, I struggle with that quite a bit because uh like the way my work is kind of set up, like I have a long commute. I have a super long commute, so it takes, I have like 2 hours
Wow.
to come home, and like um by the time I get home, I just have no energy to do any kind of content stuff as much as I'd like to. That's a big reason why I've been digging shorts lately, because when I get home and I'm tired, like the hardest part for me is talking and saying things. So what I could do when I get home, I could like record just some footage and then voice over it the next day at work during my lunch. I take my microphone and stuff like that to work and do it that way, and at least it feels productive. Like whereas I can't like do that kind of thing if I was working on a full-on video. So like,
right,
the weekdays are depressing because I can't get any toy work done as much as I'd like to. And then when it gets to the weekend, I'm like so pressed for time, I can't do things like efficiently. That's why, like, you notice I usually only have one video a week because it takes me a full weekend to do a video. So I'm currently trying to work that out a little bit better, and it's actually been going okay. So that's improving. But one thing, I'm really fortunate because my wife and my daughter are very supportive of like me making videos and being productive. So they're always encouraging me to do videos. Like if I'm just laying on the couch or something, my wife will come in and be like, "Hey, don't you have like something to review or a video to make or something to paint? Like do something." I'm all right, get up and start working on it. But yeah, so that's something that's changed too, because that hasn't always been the case. Earlier, when the channel was much smaller and it was more like it's still like a hobby. I'd like to see it turn into something else, but it's back in a few years ago, it was more so a hobby because nothing was really coming from it. It was just me throwing videos up. So back then, it'd be a little bit harder to prioritize time as far as my family's concerned, because it'd be like that's kind of a waste. But lately, that part's been different, but it's just a matter of me being able to do it. That's the thing that I struggle with.
Speaking of shorts, what are some of your favorite types of shorts to do?
I've only done one, but I really liked it where I was talking about like 3 classic Avengers that we'd like to see in figure form. And yeah, I just like, Bill Foster, Swordsman, and I forget what the third one was. But those kind of cool. And it was just kind of sitting in front of the camera, yelling at the camera for a few minutes, getting off and cutting off the end and the front, and then it's ready to post. Like and it's a cool video because it kind of provokes conversation, because next thing you know, everybody's leaving comments, and that video could exist forever. Like you notice with YouTube Shorts, like I was going through shorts and I started seeing random shorts from people that I know in the community that I know that they posted 2 or 3 months back. So like YouTube keeps the things going. And with the video that's just a random topic of discussion, YouTube will keep it going, but then the conversation will also keep it going. Like everybody always has a wish list, So like I really like those. I do like the action figure appreciation too, because I forget sometimes how cool things are like that have been out for years, until I pick it up and I go, oh damn, this DC Icon's Harley Quinn is just as
Right.
good as the Mafex, that kind of stuff. So yeah, shorts are cool. They're a lot of fun.
Did I notice that you did that for long form too? Did you do some like, okay, let's go back and review this old figure, or have you only done that with shorts?
No, I did do like a it was kind of cool. Like last year or maybe the year before, I did like a mystery review, and I talked about on my lives. I'm like, I'm gonna do this mystery review. It's gonna be an old figure. I kept dropping hints, and then like one day, I just put up a review with a black thumbnail and put mystery review. And yeah,
Okay.
it was the old it was the Mezco Space Ghost.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so that was cool. And then like around that time too, that was like when the pandemic was going on or whatever. So I was trying to think of all kinds of different things to do. And then I did do like straight up throwback reviews. That's what I was calling them. But yeah, those were a lot of fun too. It's fun to go back and appreciate old stuff. Like
Yep.
that's one thing that drives me crazy about the toy community. Everybody is so obsessed with what just came out, like all the time. It's insane. And it's like I have Mezco Bishop, right? Like I know a lot of people already have it. By the time I get around to posting pictures and doing a review and stuff, it's going to be old news.
Yeah.
It's going to feel funny, but realistically, it's not. Like it just
I
came
know.
out,
Yeah.
So that's one thing that drives me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I would like to, I do get caught up in that whole like, all right, it's got to be something fresh and new because that's what my audience wants to see. But at the same time, those often feel rushed, right? And those
Oh
can be
yeah,
frustrating to record those videos because you want to get it out as fast as possible while still like making it at that top quality. So you can feel really like crunched. But if you have like some time and you spend a week or something chipping away at a review on an old figure, you're going to notice the quality on a review like that because you're taking your time and you're
yeah.
relaxed through it, and it's
Mhm.
going to be a fun experience beyond just like trying to get it out as fast as you can.
Yeah, and if you notice, a lot of the guys, there's a handful of guys that for a while there, their priority was getting things first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I notice is a lot of those guys get a lot of views on those videos, but then they complain because they struggle getting subscribers or keeping people there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I realized early on too. It's like, oh yeah, getting an early figure is going to cost you more money, and then it's not going to be as fun for the reasons that you said because you're like you heard that someone else has it too, so you're rushing so you could get the video up, and then
Yeah.
like you fuck it up, and it just it's whack. So like
Yeah.
nobody stays. Like people will click on the video, but they're not hitting subscribe or like or whatever because like quality always shines, and even lack thereof quality is always gonna be at the forefront. People are gonna go like, oh, this is rushed or like whatever. So yeah, again, fuck all that like rush be the first. It's stressful. It's stressful. It makes it no fun, and I don't think there's long term sustainability with it.
What's your favorite line to review? What's your favorite, like, not just what's your favorite line in general? Maybe they're the same thing, but like in terms of like reviewing something, what do you like to do the most?
Well, as of right now, I really, really enjoy reviewing third-party figures.
Yeah.
And I know that's not a specific line, but they kind of feel like the
It
same
feels like it.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I wonder if it's like the same people making or just
Some of
different.
them are. I
Yeah,
can almost guarantee it. And there's a ton of overlap on a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
it's weird because it sounds like such a messy concept, like the whole third party thing. And, it sounds like shady almost. It's crazy. But like the stuff they come out with is better than everything else out there. Like, I don't think I'll get a chance to make it, but I was going to do a top 10, third party, whatever for last year. But anyways, like that ink blot by Felix Toys,
Yeah.
there's like nothing else that came out last year that's better than that. Like that thing is amazing. Or like
Mm-hmm.
the Patriot Studio Zombies, that weird dinosaur. Oh, you reviewed the dinosaur. That thing is
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
Um, just so many weird figures. I'm really really enjoying those. Uh, but also Mafex. Mafex is definitely one of my favorites to review. Um, I know you didn't ask for a whole list, but
No, it's good.
NECA as well. Like I love NECA is my favorite domestic brand. I'd say.
Oh, you know what I want to talk about? You kind of alluded to it a little while ago. moving towards something a little more, making this more of a business type thing. But the business side of things, I got your Odious
Yeah,
plushie
baby.
right here,
Hell yeah.
and that's a thing for you. Like you're trying to like move this more into a business. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, actually, when I first started YouTube, I realized that it could be a tool to like, cultivate like an audience and grow an
Mm-hmm.
audience, and then sell something cool to them. And I always wondered why other guys didn't really do that. Back before I started doing YouTube, me and a buddy were working on a comic book, and that's where the odious thing came from. It kind of evolved from that. But we were
Mm-hmm.
working on a comic book, and in my mind, like my internal plan that I was thinking was like, man, if my YouTube stuff kind of grows, like I would think people would be interested in a comic, maybe if the comic is cool. And then that kind of went to the back burner as I got more into YouTube and saw that it started to grow and become like a thing. And then like a couple of years ago, I started doing the odious heads, and like people loved them. Like I sold so many of those damn things. I think I sold like 600 of them, and like
Wow,
yeah, and I painted all of them. It was a
that's
nightmare.
crazy.
Yeah, I still have some right here that I'm painting, but I'm almost
Yeah.
done. Once I'm fucking done with these four, I'm never doing it again. Painting is the worst. But yeah, once I then like through all that, I started to kind of like go back to the comic book idea. It's totally different from what it was back then. It's a whole different thing. But yeah, and like part my dream really is for Unparalleled Universe to become like a comic book publisher and toy maker. Very much so like McFarlane Toys back in the days, like as much as I bash McFarlane, I have a lot of respect for that aspect of what he did. And I
Hmm.
want to do the same thing eventually. And it was cool because like odious popularity kind of happened naturally. Like people like saw the heads and bought it, whatever, and then people started saying, hey, when are you going to do a full figure? Next thing, and I know a buddy of mine who does some sculpting hit me up like, hey, I'll sculpt the whole figure whenever you're ready. A year or so went by, he sculpted it, so now I'm working, the prototype for the odious figure is finished, and in the middle of all that, or it's almost finished, I have a couple of little things, but in the middle of all that, I kind of thought like, I want Odious to be like Ninja Turtles or like Spawn or like a character where it's like people just love the character so much they want every version of it. Like for me,
Hmm.
Captain America, I want anything Captain America or Spider Man. If I see a Spider Man plushie in the store, I'm always tempted to buy it. Like it's usually just like at Disneyland. Right now, there's one at Disneyland that has a removable mask. And last time I was there, I bought something else instead. But I saw that, I'm like, oh, next time I'm gonna get that. Like I like it because it's Spider-Man. But
Yep.
back in the day, Ninja Turtles was like everything turtles, Pez dispensers turtles, soda turtles. Like I want Odious to kind of have that going on. Like just everything. Like people have Odious comics, Odious plushies, Odious vinyls, Odious figures. That's kind of my dream. Um, but yeah, that's so then like I looked into the plushie thing and it was like much easier than the action figure thing. And then it kind of gave me a chance to deal with the factory and just kind of understand that whole process a little bit.
Yep.
And it was cool. It was a nice intro to do the plushie, but I think like it was so much easier than what an action figure is going to be. Like the plushie was such a simple process. Like I got some artwork, sent it to the factory. They were like, "Oh, this looks cool, but I need this." And I said, "Okay," and I went and got that. A week later, sent it to them. Like a month later, they showed me a prototype, sent it to me. I was like, "I love it. Can you change the color of the shirt?" They're all sure. And then like 2 months later, I had 500 of these things in my garage.
Now, with an action figure line, do you think you're going to have to go to the factory? Like, will you need to travel, do you think, if this happens?
I don't know. I hope not. But I don't like to leave my damn house. But I don't know. I don't know. Like I'm still looking into that whole part of it because action figure production is so much more complicated than the plushie, and it sounds so overwhelming. Like I know a lot of people that have done things independently. I know people like in the industry, a lot of guys that are super helpful and like super nice about giving information and just helping me along. But it's just so crazy.
Yep.
So I've heard that there's in between people that kind of like do that thing for you, like go to the factory and kind of project manage, like like project managers. I'm sure you ran into a bunch of them at Legion's Con. You were at
Legion's
Legion.
Con, yeah.
Yeah, those kind of guys are all over that place probably.
Yep.
So I'm probably going to talk to one of them. That way I don't have to go to China or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, but and another big thing about it, like as much as I like the toy stuff, a bigger or almost equal dream is for him to be a comic book character, like in an actual book. Like I don't need a series to go 20 years, but I would love to have at least like a little 5-issue series about Odious. You know, that would definitely be one of those I guess you could say like bucket list kind of, like I'd be very proud if I could make that happen.
Is that something that you'd be writing, or would you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a whole story like pretty much like laid out, do you think, so far? Or?
So right now, like I have a general origin for what Odious is and like the mechanics behind how he comes to be. And like the way that I kind of put it together is like there's a thing that made it to where he exists. And now I just kind of have to get it's going to be there's a time travel aspect. So I got to get him into certain times and just think of situations for him to be in those times. But I made it in a way to where like it could work in a lot of different type of scenarios.
Who's your favorite, some of your favorite reviewers to watch?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because I don't have like a specific favorite. Like for years, my favorites were well, back in the day, Glenn Webb. Glenn Webb was the best, but
he was awesome.
Yeah, he was great. And then like I was always a big fan of Robo, and I was always a big fan of Boog. Those were probably my two favorites. And then like I was a fan of D Amazing. But honestly, I haven't watched any of those guys in years. Like I don't know what it is. I think maybe as I don't know. It's hard enough for me to make time to do my own thing. So I don't really get time to watch other guys. I find myself watching some of the, like, no disrespect to anybody, but some of the smaller channels a little bit more. Like, I love watching your channels. A big reason why I like your channels, you review weird stuff. You know what I mean? You review the most random shit. And like the more random, the more likely I am to click on it. Like I like your Mythic Legion stuff too, but like, I know what those are about already. But then every now and then you'll post some shit like I never even heard of. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, and I'll watch it, want to go buy it. I'm also a big fan of guys like MCU Collector, Dan Who. There's a new guy who's kind of doing his thing. He kind of just came out last year. His name is The Geek Effect. He's really good too, and I like his stuff because he edits things very differently. Like his looks like a damn TV show. There's a lot of guys that are good, but to me, it's more so about some of the guys who've been around a long time. Like you kind of know where they're at, and when they're reviewing things that are not new, you're just kind of like, it's just less interesting to me because it's like, they've been reviewing this line for 10 years and, their opinion's their opinion. You already know, like, they're into this line, so they're going to like it, this and that. But that's why I like guys who are either new or guys who do different things or actively try to think out of the box a little bit and try different types of figure lines. And that's the kind of stuff that appeals to me more. So cool. It's not so much about which YouTuber, it's just about which YouTube guy is doing the things I like at that time. Because everybody's good. Everybody does a good job. I don't dislike anybody, but also everybody pisses me off because they'll have a speck of dust on their desk or their fucking background is
it's funny that you mentioned like you don't watch these guys you had been watching for a long time, because I experienced a similar thing where as a podcaster, I mean, I've been podcasting since 2015, and like I think it was really the pandemic that did this, but my listening to podcasts, I used to listen to tons, like all the time, tons of podcasts, and then I don't really listen to them anymore. It's really weird. Like I do think it was just being home all the time that kind of like shifted that just daily pattern, but yeah, it's strange. I don't really listen. Like some of my favorite toy podcasts, I haven't listened to them in years.
Oh shit. Do you think it's a matter of like you don't want to pick up things mistakenly? Because that's one thing I don't like. I hate when someone says I copied someone. So like,
yeah,
I just go, I haven't watched them in years. I can't copy them. Fuck you. You know?
Yeah. No, I do that a little too, where it's like, do I really want to watch this other person's review before I review it? because I want to like just have a clean sort of opinion,
Oh yeah.
or just like, an opinion that hasn't been like shifted at all going into it. But I will go back and watch people if I have a question, like if I have a
Oh.
figure and I don't know how to like attach an accessory, or like
Oh yeah, yeah.
if I'm not sure if this thing can bend this way, like I'll go and watch somebody else's and be like, okay, like, figure that thing out.
Go find some other idiot that's willing to like push it to the limit.
Yeah, that's usually me. I'm usually that guy who, I get a lot of comments where people are like, "Man, you really like put that thing."
Oh yeah.
With the Alf, especially because a lot of people associate Neko with Alf, and so they're like, "Wow, I'm surprised you didn't break that thing."
Motherfuckers.
But okay, last one. Future goals.
Like we were talking about a little bit with the ODS plushie, my future goals are to. I would love for YouTube and all things associated with Unparalleled Universe to become like a full-time thing. I know that YouTube isn't necessarily like I don't know if that's possible with YouTube, right?
Right.
But I do feel that I could turn Unparalleled Universe, like comics and toys, into an actual thing, and that's really what my goal is, and everything that I do really works towards that. Every video that I make that I think like, oh, maybe I'll get a couple subscribers, it's because in my mind I go, maybe I'll get a couple eyes on Odious comic 2 years from now. That's how I approach everything. So my main goals is to have Odious comics and toys be something that's reviewed on your channel and read by comic book fans and that kind of thing. That's my goal.
Nice. And I definitely want to have you back on. If this podcast, the ToyTubers, keeps going, like I definitely want to have you back on because I'm going to do some other ToyTuber topics. Like this is mostly about toy reviews and stuff, but at some point I'm going to do a series of ones on like people who live stream, right? So like I definitely want to have you back on when I do that topic if it gets that far.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your insights, and very much appreciate it, man.
Heck yeah, no problem at all. And I'd love to get you on the live pretty soon, but we have to
For
figure
sure.
out how, because I'm not going to ask you, so I don't know if you're
Oh,
going to
yeah.
ask me or I don't know what the fuck. But but no, I do want to get you back on. It's been a while, but and
Yeah.
also in regards to your podcast, just so you know, anytime you need me to do it, I'm down.
All right.
100%. Anything you need, I'm down. Like I'm a big supporter of your channel. I love your channel, and I think you're an awesome guy. So anytime, it's a yes.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
No problem.
All right. Well, until next time, everybody, may the force be with you.